and welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the world of myths and legends. Today, we're continuing the epic journey of a hero whose name echoes through the ages, Theseus. Fresh from his victory over the bandits Cinis and Periphetes, Theseus pressed on toward Athens, his bronze club a heavy but reassuring weight in his hand. His head was long, and he knew he needed a place to rest. Just as the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, he heard the gentle sound of water. Through a break in the trees, he saw a stream and a woman washing clothes by its edge. She seemed a welcome sight in this lonely wilderness. Hoping for directions and perhaps a bit of hospitality, Theseus approached her. "Good lady," he called out, his voice tired but clear. "Could you tell me where I am?" The woman looked up, her expression a mix of caution and surprise. "You're about halfway between Trozen and Athens," she replied, her voice soft. "But it's a place few people dare to travel." "Why is that?" Theseus asked, his curiosity piqued. She wrung out a piece of cloth, her gaze distant. "The road from Trozen is plagued by villains like Periphetes and Cinis, and the path to Athens, well, it has its own monsters. It's a miracle you've made it this far unscathed." "You must be very lucky." Theseus smiled and looked toward the heavens. "I have the goddess Athena to thank for her protection," he said. "But my luck might be running out if I go and find a place to spend the night. Is there an inn or a house nearby that might offer a bed?" A strange, fleeting smile touched the woman's lips. "I have a house," she offered, "but I must warn you, it isn't safe."
The Cramionian sow, a monstrous wild boar, has been terrorizing our lands.
"It's destroyed our crops, attacked our livestock, Dad. Everyone here lives in fear." Instead of fear, a fire ignited in Theseus's eyes. This was not a threat. It was a challenge, an opportunity. "A monster that harms innocent people," he declared, his hand tightening around his club. "Then I will not rest until it is dealt with. I will wait for this boar and put an end to its rampage." "Tell me where your house is." The woman nodded, pointing a slender finger toward a path leading deeper into the woods. But as she did, a dark, unreadable shadow passed through her eyes, a detail Theseus, in his heroic fervor, failed to notice.
He thanked her, and clutching his club, vanished into the darkening forest.
Once he was gone, the woman, whose name was Phaia, stood alone by the stream. The soft, gentle expression she had worn melted away, replaced by a cruel, sharp sneer. A chilling laugh escaped her lips, echoing eerily through the quiet woods. The story of the boar was a lie, a clever trap. Phaia herself was the true terror of Cramion. She and her band of thieves used the myth of the beast to loot and intimidate the local farmers. Her plan was simple. The boar, a beast she had trained, would injure or kill the young hero, and she would use the ensuing chaos to raid the villages once more. As night blanketed the forest in an inky blackness, Theseus found a concealed spot among the dense trees, preparing his ambush. He held his breath, listening to the sounds of the night. Then he heard it, the heavy, guttural breathing of a large animal moving through the undergrowth. He tensed, his muscles coiling, ready to strike.
Suddenly, a small shape darted out from the darkness. Theseus blinked in confusion.
A rabbit!
He murmured, lowering his club slightly.
What is this? That moment of distraction was all his enemy needed. An immense force slammed into his back, throwing him to the ground with brutal power. It was the sow! It had circled around and attacked him from behind.
Pain exploded through his body as the beast's tusk tore into him. He gasped, spitting blood onto the forest floor.
The world swam before his eyes as he struggled to breathe.
Believing the hero was finished, Phaia didn't waste a moment.
She hurried back toward the village of Chromion.
Her men, who had been hiding in the woods, emerged from the shadows to join her. They descended upon the village, their weapons glinting in the moonlight. The farmers, awakened by the commotion, stood trembling before their homes. Phaia drew her sword, its edge sharp and merciless. "Bring out your harvest! Your gold!" she screamed,
Her voice cutting through the night.
"Or you'll pay with your life." One brave farmer, his face a mask of defiance, stepped forward to protest. In a flash, Phaia had the tip of her sword at his throat. The air grew thick with tension. A single drop of blood trickled down the man's neck.
But just as she was about to strike,
A loud, metallic clang shattered the silence.
Phaia's sword was knocked aside. From the darkness, a figure emerged, limping, bloodied, but standing tall. It was Theseus. His club was held firm in his hand. "Stop this," he roared, his voice filled with righteous fury. Phaia stared in disbelief. Her men, recovering from the shock, charged at the wounded hero all at once. Despite his injuries, Theseus moved with a grim determination. He swung his heavy bronze club in a deadly arc.
The weapon whistled through the air, shattering bones and breaking weapons.
One by one, Phaia's men fell, groaning in pain. Finally, only Phaia remained. She lunged, but with a final, powerful swing, Theseus shattered her sword, sending the pieces flying into the darkness.
She fell to her knees, her face a picture of utter shock.
"How?"
She stammered, looking up at the blood-soaked hero.
"How did you defeat the sun?" Theseus leaned heavily on his club, his breath ragged. "It gored me from behind," he said, his voice low and strained. "I was badly wounded, but I got up, and I finished it with my club." He took a painful step closer. "Your plan was clever, Phaia, but it had flaws. Flaws. What flaws?"
She asked, her voice barely a whisper.
"First," Theseus explained, "you left without making sure the job was done. You assumed I was dead. Second, the bloodstain on the clothes you were washing, it was on top of the pile, not soaking through from the bottom. If you were washing away the blood of a beast's victim, the stain would have been different. I wanted to believe you, to see you as a victim, but you gave yourself away." Phaia's face fell. Her lips pressed into a thin line of defeat. And then Theseus continued, his eyes flashing with cold fire. "On my way here, I met a young boy. He told me the truth. It wasn't the Chromionian sow that plagued these farmers. It was you, the infamous bandit Phaia." Overwhelmed by despair and terror, Phaia bowed her head. "I accept my defeat, she pleaded. Spare my life, I beg you. Theseus looked down at the cowering woman. He slowly sheathed his club and drew a small dagger.
But he did not strike her down.
Instead, he reached out and, with a swift motion, cut off her long, dark hair. The locks fell to the dusty ground, scattering like whispers in the wind. The farmers watched in silence as Theseus, a towering figure of justice covered in his own blood, stood over the defeated bandit. A cool wind swept through the village, as if narrating the end of her reign of terror. And so, the ferocity of Phaia was ended! With another monster defeated and another community saved, Theseus, weary but resolute, turned his face once more toward the road to Athens. His legend was growing with every step. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible adventure. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do unmiss the next chapter in the heroic saga of Theseus. We'll see you next time.